Hey everybody, it's Joe, Redneck Collector, coming at you with another video. My special guest today, who I'll be interviewing about his card show experiences last Sunday, is my son, Finn. Finn, how are you today?
Good.
Good? Are you happy to be here?
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're here. So, Finn and I got to go to, there was a 3-day show in St. Charles last weekend that I got to spend some time but on Sunday, we both went. I was set up with some friends. We were vending. We had a table, but Finn came along because we knew there was going to be quite a bit of Pokemon there, but it was also surprised with how much vintage was also at the show. So it was a great time. But on the way up there, do you remember our conversation we talked about? Okay, so I was talking to Finn and I said, hey, what are you looking for at the show, right? Because we collect Pokemon together and I was expecting a lot of, talk about Pokemon. And you kind of surprised me. What did you tell me that you thought you might want to start collecting?
Mean Joe Green.
Well, you said vintage football. And specifically Mean Joe Green. Now, why Mean Joe Green?
I have a broken arm. So he went to like a club and he had like somebody put metal in it.
So, yeah, the stories of Mean Joe Green was that he had, I guess maybe someone in the clubhouse when he was getting wrapped up in his broken arm, put a piece of like metal or steel rebar or whatever in there so that when he went to tackle, sure, buddy, he'd throw that arm up against her head and, knock him out. Hence the name, he Mean Joe Green. He wasn't Nice Joe Green. This was Mean Joe Green. So I got excited when he said, hey, maybe I'll start a vintage football card collection. And then we actually started talking about Mean Joe Green because we had already been talking about Mean Joe Green when you got your cast on a couple weeks ago. But we also talked about the possibility of some quarterbacks and things like that. And then we also talked about Pokemon. We knew we were going to be looking at Pokemon, right? We knew that was a possibility. So we get to the show, and I was pretty busy getting set up with the guys, right? I was getting some things priced last minute, getting everything set up. And I gave you a little money, and I sent you on a quest, right? What did you go looking for?
Mean Joe Green.
Mean Joe Green. And I sent him over to a vendor, and I really wish I could have got this vendor's name. Had a great setup, tons of vintage. And you went over and asked him about it. And then I ended up coming over, and because I was a little, worried about you, although I didn't need to be. You were out striking deals. Get over there, and I asked you, did you find any Mean Joe Green? And he's like, hey, the guy's looking for him, right? And the nice vendor there, which I really wish I could have got his name, is looking through some of his boxes. And what does he show? What does he show you? Go ahead. A beautiful 1978 copy of Mean Joe Green. Just an awesome copy. Just great. And he had $3 on it, which I thought was fair. So Finn handed over the money, and what did the dealer say?
So he said, how about negotiating?
Yeah, he said, do you want to negotiate the price? Which you and I talked about that on the ride up there. We talked about how you wanted to not lowball anybody. You wanted to be respectful negotiation, that you didn't ask for half off or anything like that. So he asked you, did you want to negotiate? And you kind of looked up at me and I looked at you, and what did you say?
$2.
$2, which is fair, right? He was offering, $2 for a $3 card, pretty fair. What did the dealer say?
How about $1?
He said, how about $1? Which we immediately took him up on, and I made sure to tell the dealer. We both told him thank you, but I told him thank you that, he had started his vintage football collection last Sunday, that day, right then and there, with his Mean Joe Green card for $1. So that was pretty awesome, proud dad moment. We're gonna definitely be looking at some more Joe Green cards and maybe some other vintage players. So after that though, you kind of changed up, right? I gave you some money and you went looking for some cards. So you pulled off one trade. Let's show your cards for your trade. He did have some of his Pokemon cards set out to sell. He sold a few, and you pulled off a trade.
Japanese. You could actually get the red one. You put it together. If you see,
there are cards that fit together and paint a whole picture. So very cool. That's a Japanese version. What's the next one?
Japanese Mewtwo.
Japanese Mewtwo. Very cool. So pulled off a trade with a very nice guy there. I'm sorry to say I don't remember his name if he gave it to us. But then I sent you off, gave you a few bucks in your pocket. Why don't you show the first card that you brought back? Well, it doesn't really matter if it's in order. Why don't you show one of the cards? Is that the first card you pulled back? Okay. So show that card there. All right, so he came back. Now, we failed to negotiate on this one, but the sticker price on it was under comps. And this is part of the Pokemon 151 set, which is one of our favorite sets, right? We're working on trying to complete it. We don't complete very many Pokemon sets, but that's one of our favorites, and we were trying to complete it. We actually owned this card at one time, but you had traded it away, so, right?
It was the more animated one.
Oh, okay. It was a different one, so we needed this one. So, great pull. And then you suckered Daddy for more money. What was the next thing you brought back? I like this card. I can get into the art.
So we
Keep the shine off of it. Yeah.
So we actually bought the same card from a dude, but we didn't. It had this huge crease.
It had a crease on it, yeah. We
Going
bought it off
like-
eBay. Wasn't disclosed.
Right.
One of those things where I actually had to ask for money back, which I don't do very often, but it was, picture was taken to where you
It
couldn't
was
see the
bad.
crease, yeah. So you pulled those deals off by yourself, didn't need me, and then you went out scouting a couple bigger cards we needed for Pokemon 151 set. These required more of Dad's money, so Dad was going to be involved with it, especially with the case that they may end up go to grading. So we went around, we looked at lots of copies. He had already kind of told me what was going on, but we went and we found the Collector Store, which is a great store in the St. Peter's area of St. Louis. Check it out. They got a lot of TCG, but they do all kinds of sports. And they happen to have both of the bigger cards we needed for 151. So we were able to negotiate a price. Actually, I did the negotiating on this. I didn't do that hot. I only got like $5 off, but it's pretty, Pokemon's hot right now. So why don't you show that card, the first card. Actually, I'll show it. You talk about it.
The Alakazam, one of the better special illustration rares. Now, we might need a few more EXs from the set. We need Charmander, Charmeleon, and the Bulbasaur and the Ivysaur. And they had all four.
They did. There's illustration rares, but they're a little expensive. Not as expensive as this card. And why don't you show the next card? This is probably like the, I don't know, third most expensive card in the entire set. We didn't have it. Which one is this, buddy?
Zapdos.
Zapdos. And what kind of card is it?
Special illustration.
It's also a special illustration rare, which are generally speaking,
Best rarity.
yes, the best rarity and what people are looking for. So we had a great show. Finn killed it. It was his first show where he did a lot of independent stuff, right? You went out on your own, and Dad's really proud of you. And I thought it was really cool how you conducted yourself at this show. And you were able to strike some deals, and you really got me going when you said that you wanted to start a vintage football collection. So Dad got you something to go in your collection. You want to show everybody what that is? Do you remember what card that is of his?
His rookie card.
We got us a Mean Joe Green rookie card. I looked everywhere at the show. There's some low-grade ones. Didn't want to pay the price. Came home immediately, started looking at eBay. Actually, I think I was looking for this card on eBay before we even left the show because definitely a card that I wanted to own in my collection, and now Finn has given me a reason. I think we're going to be looking for completing the Mean Joe Green run here soon. So it's a nice EX copy, not too terribly centered, or centered badly, I should say. It's not centered badly. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's a nice copy of the card and an awesome start to your vintage football collection. So Dad's proud. We had a blast. And hopefully we'll keep this going, both the Pokemon, but now we'll blend in some vintage football. So a lot of fun. So what do you want to tell everybody? Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all. We appreciate you.